Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me.
Good morning. You are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. I am Catherine Bell, and this is the Dream Journal, a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. How does your biological heritage contribute to your spirituality? Today we talk with Alaya Dannu about ancestral dreaming and about her visions around a female-centered cosmology. So stay tuned. I am Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. The Dream Journal is also a podcast, so you can look for that on all your regular podcast places, or you can go to the KSQD website, where most of our news programs are archived. The Dream Journal is found at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. So look for the Dream Journal, review it, subscribe, and tell your friends. It really does help people to find the show. So I'm starting with my personal dream work, the way I do on this show. And I want to actually read you a quote, which really fits in beautifully with my my current dream work. This is from Rick Cleffel, who created this beautiful background music that we hear in the background. He creates it live every week for us. And it's just a real gift of his time and his musical expertise. And this is the quote that he wants to share, which was from a review about Philip Roth. How close are you, reader, to the well springs of your life? Because they're down there, those torrents still boiling out of the rock that split at your birth. Can you manage them, harness them, make them work for you? Do you have the Philip Rothness day after day for that? Now, I haven't read any Philip Roth, honestly, but there is something about those well springs and the torrents that are boiling out of the rock that split at your birth. You know, there's a way that when each of us was born, that the universe would never be the same again. And can you tap into those torrents? So it turns out I had a dream about a week and a half ago, which reminds me of this quote, in that I'm looking to get into the water in some kind of Eastern country, some kind of like India possibly, or something like that. But the water is really, really low, and so there's all these exposed rocks, and I don't know how I can get in the water. But then I turn away to explore, and I find my way into this canyon, which is just filled with water, with pools and waterfalls, and the water is a perfect temperature, and people are bathing in the water, splashing and playing, and I climb in, and I just really feel the water pouring over my back, and it feels like such a beautiful place. Oh, I'm relaxing even as I talk about this dream. Yeah, so there's something about those torrents still boiling out of the rock that is here in this dream for me. There's something kind of spiritual and renewing for me here. So I'm really grateful for this dream that I have to share with you, and I hope you will be inspired to share your dreams with the people in your life. So today, as usual, I will be inviting call-ins during the last 20 minutes of the show, so you can get ready for that. You can jot that number down now. It is 831-900-5773, also 900 KSQD. You're welcome to share a dream or ask a question, maybe share an experience that you've had. So jot that number down, and the phones will be open in about 35 minutes. That number again is 831-900-5773. Also, the last few weeks, I've found that sometimes people want to send emails. Maybe you don't want to talk on the air, but you're welcome to send an email to me here at the station, and I will get it and read it if there's time, or if I can get to it. The email address here is onair@ksqd.org. That's onair@ksqd.org. So you're welcome to send me an email as well. So, hello, Alaya.
Hello, Catherine.
Hey, we are so glad to have you on the show.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay. Alaya Dannu is a woman of mixed heritage, born in Texas, raised in New York City. She endeavors to illuminate the nature and importance of ancestral dreaming and its ability to enhance academic and scholarly inquiry. Combining her background in transpersonal psychology and 20 years of dream documentation, part of her purpose in life is to reestablish and bring awareness to a female-centered cosmology that has been revealed to her in her dreams, trance or guided meditations, and shamanic journeys, and forms the basis for her dissertation, which she is currently working on as a doctoral student at the California Institute for Integral Studies. And Alaya Dannu is also going to be presenting at the upcoming IASD conference in June. So Alaya, welcome. I'm so glad to chat with you. Maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with dreams. I guess I'll include visions here too. Dreams and visions, journeys.
Yes. So I grew up in New York, the eldest of four, and my mother really stressed the importance of listening to intuition, paying attention to your dreams, and honoring the environment around us. And so for me, I held on to that. And I remember at the age of 15, there were 2 deaths in the family, and about a week apart, 1 or 2 weeks apart, and each of them would come to me to either reveal information for the rest of the family or ask why we left the funeral service early. Everyone got in trouble for it, but I got the brunt end because I was the messenger.
So they were watching and they saw people leaving early?
Yeah, I believe it was the second funeral. We were out by the water, and in the South, in the heat of summer, mosquitoes get really hungry. So a few of us left a little early before the closing of the funeral. So yeah, that was for me at that point. I was like, wow, this is amazing, you know. So I believe it was a year later, my aunt handed me a journal, and on it has this little picture of sunflowers, and it says life's journey. And she said, this might be helpful for you since you're having all these dreams. So from that summer of 2001, I started writing them down, because then they became a bit more profound in the sense where both, my mother and other family members would say, you should write that down. You should write that down. So that's when it started, summer of 2001, with regards to writing them down.
Well, so it's really been with you ever since, it sounds like.
Yes, it has. It's been the guiding force of my life. There isn't a decision I make that, I need to check in with my dreams or meditative trance journeys to double check to make sure, because it's what's guided me. So it's what I refer to.
Yeah. Well, tell me some more about ancestral dreaming. That's very interesting. What do you mean by that? And the way heritage affects our spirituality. Are those two things combined here? Or tell me.
Yes. So for me, the concept of dreaming has always been ancestrally related. It wasn't only until I started my master's that I began to realize, there's this thing called lucid dreaming. Or when people say dreaming, they're referring to lucid dreaming. So it would be a little frustrating for me, because whenever I would speak about dreaming, I would be referring to ancestral dreaming, not lucid dreaming. So the only difference between the two is that with ancestral dreaming, you don't have control over how the dream starts or how it ends or where it's going. Like it's as if you're in a classroom being taught by an ancestor, or you're in a conversation or an environment that you didn't think to go, or you can't change what's going on. They are in complete control. So your ancestors, they start the dream. So you could be in a lucid dream and then all of a sudden it completely changed. There's this, as if like there's a big movie screen coming down, and they start speaking. They start showing you what you need to know in those moments. And then when that's done, it's like the screen goes up and then the dream you were having before continues.
Oh my goodness. So it's like there is a teaching. It's like it's time for a teaching now. Here comes the screen.
Exactly. And there you have no control over when it starts or ends. Depending upon your relationship to your ancestors or what they have to teach you, you can ask questions. But for the most part, here's a teaching, pay attention.
I wonder if you could give us an example, like some kind of teaching that you received this way.
I remember when I was in China in 2011, and I was having a normal dream, and then the next thing I know, it abruptly stops, and there's this female figure. She's huge, and she's sitting above all of the other female figures around her, and she's really regal. She's wearing all white, but I can't see any features. And she's wearing these beautiful pearls around her neck and then on her bracelets and on her head. And she starts speaking to me about the sacredness of life and why it's important to understand that. Why pearls represent our lineage and why it's important for me to get this right. What I should be doing now and should not be doing. And it's like, oh my goodness. Is this happening? Is this for real? And then if you get distracted, it's like as if you're standing in the water and this huge wave comes over and knocks you down. It's like, pay attention. Pay attention. And then immediately there's this feeling of, I need to get up and write this down and then go back to sleep. Right. So that's just like one of the examples that constantly stands out for me.
Wow, that seems wonderful to have that connection. I don't know that I have so many of those kinds of dreams. Is there a way that I could encourage some information to come through in that way? Or maybe I should just start looking for them. Maybe I haven't been tuning into them.
So that leads into the heritage connection. So the more aware you are of your ancestry, the more awareness you bring to that connection. Wow. And once you start learning about the lands your many, many ancestors lived on, then that's like an energetic call to wanting to know more, because you can go but so far with historical record. So one way to do that, it's not just family tree ancestral knowledge that a family, a keeper of the, family record in a family would have. Yes, there's a big talk about DNA, and some people say it's not completely accurate. I say it gives you a general overview, because having those locations helps you to better understand the diversity of who you are and where you come from.
I love it. Diversity within one body.
Exactly. Humans migrated over time, right?
Yes.
So if we're 200,000, the Homo sapiens, if it's about 200,000 years old or older, then yes, of course, you're going to have ancestors from all over. So for me, it was a matter of different ancestral, different divinities of different cultures would come in and teach. And a big example would be like the Nordic. I have Nordic ancestry. So the Norns or looking at scenes that talk about how Odin, hung from a tree. Little things like that would just keep coming up. And it's like, well, why am I dreaming about Nordic divinities? Lo and behold, I have Nordic ancestry. Wow, that's cool. Okay. So the more I dug into my ancestry with regards to DNA, the more it helped me to understand. But the way it happened for me was I would have the dreams first, and then I take the DNA test and say, oh, wow, this is great. It matches.
Oh, interesting. Well, this dream I shared this morning about being in the East. I mean, I don't even know exactly what I mean by the East. I said India, and I don't know if it's that far east, but there's something there very foreign, sort of. I wonder if that's something I could do some research into. Certainly, I often in dreams have experiences in other countries I don't live in right now, or parts of the country, and maybe these are clues to my heritage.
Exactly. I call those like little breadcrumbs. Follow the trail, because even if it may not show up in your DNA, it could show up in a family member's. And even if you don't have access to a family member's, there is this connection also with being connected through reincarnation as well. So you may have had a past life there.
Right.
And but you're still deeply connected energetically.
Oh, I've just got some chills there, because I have had quite a few dreams about ancient China, and actually like being footbound and things like that. And so maybe it's actually even farther east than India that this is like hearkening to in me. And also the idea of the reincarnation really strikes a chord for me. It's like there's the experience I've had even in waking life, which seemed like they're pointing to experiences that I could not have had in this life, and maybe not even with my my biological ancestors, but if my reincarnation.
And that is also part of, I would like to say it is part of ancestry, more of like a conscious ancestry as opposed to biological. So that's also a detail that I'm pulling into my dissertation work, because a lot of the dreams that I've had, they're in some countries where it may not show up in my DNA, but I have a deep, strong connection to that part of the world, and the dreams are just, amounting to that. So it takes deeper study into understanding how reincarnation works, and that when we talk about ancestry, we can't just limit ourselves to biology. So what do we call that with regards to a reincarnation connection? Is it, what's the terminology? I don't know yet, but it's something that I am investigating.
Right. Oh, this is very fascinating. So I want to go to this piece of music, and Alaya is a very rare guest who actually edited her own audio files and sent them to me, which I am so appreciative of, that you sent me these clips. And so the first one I'm going to play is Forgotten Odes by Immediate Music. I wonder if you want to say a few words about this and what it's meaningful to you.
I adore string instruments, and I am in love with epic music. And for those of you that don't know what epic music is, it's the music in the trailer, filming, and gaming industry. So the next time you watch a movie trailer, listen to the music. That's the kind of music I love. And it's a driving force to creativity. It's a blank canvas. So no matter what ideas I may have, every time I hear it, I just feel inspired to do something or to just feel better. So I love it. I really love it. And it just has like that upwelling of energy that just feels so awe-inspiring.
Okay, that's fabulous. Well, thank you. You are listening to Alaya Dannu. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I am Catherine Bell. You are listening to K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. In about 18 minutes, I'll be opening the phones. You can jot that number down, 831-900-5773. Or you can send me an email at onair@ksqd.org. I am your host, Catherine Bell. You are listening to the Dream Journal here on ksqd.org. My name is Catherine Bell, and my guest today is Alaya Dannu. So, Alaya, I would like to hear a little bit more about your what you mean by female cosmology. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So when we talk about heritage and culture and identity, a lot of people immediately look at the country that you're born in and automatically say, that's your culture, that's your identity, without understanding, well, perhaps just because they were born and raised in this particular country, it doesn't mean they don't have an ancestral connection to something. It doesn't mean that they don't know who they are, where they come from. Right. So with regards to this female-centered cosmology, when we look at myths or mythologies that are supposed to be foundations for our proper state of being, what out there exemplifies something that is female-centered and empowering? Not many, if any at all.
Yeah, really.
Right? So if we have stories, they've been changed in a sense to where it shows a transition from where it was female-centered to where it's male-dominant. So this female-centered cosmology is something that has been revealed over the past 20 years in my dreams. So that too is also a part of my journey with regards to my dissertation. It's like, wow, okay. So when I talk about my culture and heritage, I'm talking about what's been revealed to me. So the cosmology talks about origin. And from that origin, tradition and practices and ways of being in life. And so with regards to this female-centered cosmology, it's the emergence of seven mothers. Now, we've heard the story or likenesses of it in the Aboriginal people of Australia and in the very least, the Pleiades of the Greeks and the Saptamatrikas in India. But none of the stories that have emerged for me in my dreams are those stories. It's a reemergence in the sense that, okay, here is your foundation for being. This is what defines your purpose. This is what your purpose is grounded in. So these are the seven mothers. These are their characteristics. This is the one that created your essence, and this is how she's teaching you. And all of your other ancestors around you are connected to that.
So this is part of what's been revealed in your dreams? The seven mothers. Okay. Can you say some more? I'm kind of wrapping my mind around this. Like, I love the idea of like creating our own mythology and really, in our own a mythology sounds kind of like it's like we made it up or it's fake, but there's something like a soul level truth is how I think.
Right.
Of mythology. Exactly.
So mythology in its origin, it's talking about primordial history, a primordial first story, and that's the foundation of why you're here, how you came to being, what is it that you're meant to do, what your ancestors did, how you're connected. And so with regards to creating your own, I'd say it's a matter of it's connecting in to what is there and manifesting that in your life. This cosmology, the seven mothers, it's pretty much, like a tree with seven branches, and each of them has their own natures, their own domain as to what parts of life or what parts of your creation they have a heavier hand in. And for me, what they've done is they've shown me this is what we're connected to in the historical records. So, for example, the Black Madonna, one of the seven mothers revealed herself to me as Nova or night. And her embodiment is, as she has taught me, is revealed in the Black Madonna. So when you look at the Black Madonna, it's the mother and the child. However, she has also stated that it's her representation of continuity. This is how we present life with a continual emergence. This is the mother, and the child is not just a mother giving birth to a child, but it's a symbol of that which is continual. And so each time there's a forgetfulness within a particular culture, it's like markers that left behind by the mothers. Don't forget, there's a continuity. There's a need for a remembrance. So here's my image, and just remember the mother as origin and the child as a continual way of embodying that memory and those teachings.
So they want this remembrance. That this is one of the things that they offer, is that we remember them. Is there more? Is the act of remembering a way of bringing them into the world, or do they have like specific things for us to do as well?
It's both. It's it's like an anchoring of nourishing life, nourishing and giving energies as well. So remembering them and remembering how they've contributed to the nourishment of humanity is a way of anchoring in the energy of renewal. Taking care of yourself and the only planet that can support you at this time.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's a big wow, because when people look at me, they automatically think, I'm connected to a particular African culture, and it's like, no, I have ancestors from all over, and I have my own traditions, but it's not specifically from this one culture. It's taught to me by the seven mothers as they've revealed themselves. So it's good to have that, because as you anchor yourself in what's revealed to you and what's taught to you in your dreams, it has an effect on the environment around you. It has an effect on the people that listen to what you share through, what your ancestors are sharing through you.
Absolutely. Right. So this is something that we each would have like our own, what's the word, cosmology, I guess, in ourselves that may be related to other people's, or is there a way that we share them with other people in our lives, or what do you recommend to people to just to listen to their own dreams? Surely, but then not everybody remembers their dreams or has powerful experiences that you clearly have had that you're sharing with us.
Well, a big part of your process is understanding that everyone has their own life and purpose. For some, it could just be learning how to reconnect, and that could just be it. And it may sound right. Exactly. I was just about to say, it may sound simple, but no.
Yeah.
So some of the things I've done with regards to like intuition, listening to those little hints or those gut feelings and drawing it out. You may not be an artist, that's fine, but being able to integrate that reintegrate that back into the body, be it through movement, through coloring. Get a coloring book and just color and contemplate on the experiences that you've had. Because the more work you put in to dedicating yourself to reconnecting, the more awareness you generate, and that's showing, your deeper conscious self or your ancestors that, okay, this person is willing to dedicate themselves to a relationship. Because that's what you're doing. You're trying to cultivate a relationship. And if you're not really good at relationships, I would say, well, start working on relating to yourself and your inner self first, because that's what it is.
I sometimes feel that as I'm working on my dream relationships, the ones in my literal nighttime dreams, that starts shifting my waking life relationships as well.
Yes.
And so I love that thing about honoring the dream and not necessarily interpreting it, just being in the feeling of it. Like I'm thinking of my dream with the canyon and the water, and just like letting myself feel the water and kind of immersing myself in the dream memory as a way of bringing it into the world. And it does feel like a sacred dream. And so there's that. And so sometimes I call it the treasure hunt. And when I suggest people really look for the beautiful moments in their dreams, it's so easy to find the trauma moments and the frustration moments, but let's also look for the moments of connection and beauty and spirituality.
Right. And if one of the things I've done was for a practicum in an earlier doctoral program that I couldn't finish, I did a dream sharing with someone, and I expressed to her not to interpret what the dream says, but for you to kind of color or draw what you're experiencing as you hear this. So that, for her, helped her to recall dreams that she had in a distant past. So that's why I'm suggesting coloring, because as you're reliving or thinking about an experience, an uplifting experience with regards to intuition, or if you woke up from a dream and you're like, I remember the feeling, but I don't remember the images, color. Get a coloring book. Just color that experience, because it will start to trigger and unlock a bit more. That's developing the awareness.
So when you say coloring book, you mean like with lines and all, or like blank pages, or I guess maybe either, I guess.
Either or, whichever one you're called to. You can get, coloring book that has abstract lines. A good exercise would be to not color it based on your ego, but look at the colors and ask which color wants to go on the page. That's another good way of developing, the awareness of letting your ego get out of the way.
Right. I've seen beautiful coloring books of like mandalas or stained glass windows. Yeah.
Those would be good too.
Right. Yeah, there's something about color in dreams. Like, I don't know where this people say, you're supposedly dreaming in black and white, but that's not true. I find that my dreams are very colorful typically.
Very vivid, yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about one more topic before we go to the phones. What about prophetic dreaming? Like, can you say some more about that and maybe share some of your experiences there? Yeah.
I love prophetic dreaming, and unfortunately, you cannot induce those.
Okay, darn.
I know, right? Dang it. Yeah. What I tend to find with prophetic dreaming is it heavy on intuition upon waking. So it's almost like ancestral dreaming, where it just comes down, but as soon as you wake up, it sticks to you in a way that none of the other dreaming experiences do. And that there's just this feeling of, wow, that's either going to happen today or it's going to happen soon, but I know I just need to be mindful of this. And then the event could happen that day, a few days later, or a few years later. It's just that there's a certain quality to it. One of the prophetic dreams that I've had that I can recall right now, I think it was back in 2013, and I was in a short-term relationship at the time. I remember having a dream about driving around with this person and having this huge disagreement about the trajectory of my life, about how I should live my life, and him wanting to be more in control of it. And so then when I woke up that day, I had thought, well, it kind of looks like that's what's going on anyway, but I'll just write this down. And then a day later, he invites me to go out with him to pick up a few things. And so as we're driving, I look out the window. It's almost like deja vu. I look out the window and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, I had this dream a day ago. So what that did for me was, what I appreciate about prophetic dreams is it helps me to prepare. So that I don't get triggered, or I don't go into a panic. I'm a bit more grounded, and I have that awareness. So even if I can't change it, it's, wait a minute, I saw this coming. So I know how to better handle myself in the situation.
Do you think that deja vu experiences could be related to this kind of prophetic dreaming, like maybe from dreams that we don't even remember, but deja vu can be very powerful sometimes?
I'd say it can be related, but it's not mutually exclusive. I think with deja vu, there's also a sense of, it could have been like a past life thing, or maybe there was something that happened energetically, then you're stepping back into that stream and you're like, wait a minute, this has happened before. I don't know when. Is there something in this moment, or am I just supposed to be present for the moment?
Got it. Okay. So this is the Dream Journal, and my guest is Alaya Dannu. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone. Sounds like maybe you already have a call or two coming through the board. And you are listening to The Squid. K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. And if you would like to call, you can call in at 831-900-5773. If you don't get through right away, you can call back, and we'll try to get to as many callers as possible. You can also send me an email at onair@ksqd.org, ONAIR at ksqd.org. So we're going to play Recompose by Max Richter. All right, this is the Dream Journal, and we are here with Alaya Dannu. The phones are now open. If you were trying to call earlier, you can call back. The number is 831-900-5773. That's 900-KSQD in the Santa Cruz area. Or you can send an email at onair@ksqd.org. So my name is Catherine Bell, and we are here with Ancestral Dreamer, Alaya Dannu. Hello, Alaya.
Hello.
I wonder if you would like to say a few words about your offering for the conference. You're going to be at the IASD conference in June, which we can find out about at asdreams.org. And tell us a little bit about what you'll be giving us.
So this presentation, I really inspired by getting the word out with regards to ancestral dreaming and what that means and how it can contribute to cultural memory studies and deepen the scholarship with regards to cultural identity and identity in general. What is it? Why is it important? How does it differ from lucid dreaming, or how does it differ from just looking at dreams in general? And I kind of want people to understand that when we're talking about identity and culture or cultural memory, that we need to broaden the dimensions of that inquiry. We have to consider how ancestral dreams work, because indigenous cultures include that in their day-to-day living. That's a part of who they are. So why can't that be a part of the scholarship? Why is that not included? It has to be.
Yeah, I like that. I'm really thinking of this book. Maybe you're familiar with, called The Kin of Ata Are Waiting for You. Do you know this book?
No,
Oh.
I've not heard of it.
Oh, it's kind of an old-fashioned book. I don't know, it came out in the 60s or 70s or something. But it's a very simple premise. It's kind of set in a sci-fi package, but basically this person finds himself in a community where what they do is they sleep like in mandalas with their heads together. I forget, maybe in 13s or some number like that. And then in the morning, they find one other person and share their dreams. And that's all they do. They take turns just speaking the dream out loud to the other person, and then they go about their day. And so they don't analyze the dream in any way, but they just bring the dreams really present. Like whatever dream is up for you, you just speak it out loud, and then that influences you. And this culture is a very interesting culture with a lot of self-expression and creativity. And it seems like sometimes just the act of speaking a dream out loud can help us tap into the power behind it.
Yes, absolutely. It's like when reading, not to bring religion into it, but when you're reading a sacred text, pretty much out loud, it's the quality of sound as well.
I love that, the quality of sound, yes.
Right, so sounds, creation, anchoring, manifestation, embodiment, all of that are characteristics of being, manifest. So when you're reading a dream out loud, it's like you're participating in the bringing into being of that process of creation. So yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I think it must really touch into a deeper part of who we are. And, they say that brains are filters, that actually the main function of a brain is to...
It's a filter.
It's a filter. It's to, prevent you from seeing all kinds of things that would be distracting. And so when we're asleep, the brain isn't filtering so hard. So maybe we get to let in some more of those sacred things that are happening all around us all the time.
Yes, absolutely. That I can see, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So what is up for you right now, Alaya? What topic do you want to get to? You want to for sure talk about while we're on the air together?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
How about dream art? That's something that I've recently been doing, specifically with painting some of the dreams that I've, or some of the images that I've experienced in my dreams.
Yeah.
One of them, I submitted a picture to the Dream Art Gallery, the Dream Art for the conference.
Yeah.
And it's called The Garden. And so this came to me in a dream and was also re-emerged in a vision. It's of the cosmos. Mm-hmm. And there's this bright light that could be the sun, and then it opens up. It's like a dimension opens up within it, and there's this huge pot with water flowing out of it into a beautiful garden.
Oh, I think I've seen this art. This is on the Dreams in City portal. Is that the one?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I love that. It's beautiful. That's on the ISD webpage. Yes, thank you. So tell me about this dream that inspired this art and what the process of creating it was like.
So it first came up with a dream of me walking with a book. And on the cover of that book was a pot on its side with water flowing out of it. And I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. I'll write this down and maybe more of the symbolism will come later. And then maybe a month later, this image came forth. And I was just like, oh, this is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. How do I capture this? Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll paint it. Mm-hmm. And some of the, a little bit of the fear I had at the time was, I don't know if I'll paint it right. Will I paint it right? Mm. And so the beautiful thing about painting this image is that, one, when you're in the zone of painting, it kind of takes over. Like the energy behind that just kind of takes over. So it paints itself. But the other thing with the picture is it's related to the 20 years of dreams documentation. Because with the water coming out of the pot that's nestled in the universe, it's a rejuvenating factor. Mm. So it's flowing through this beautiful garden of lotuses and evergreens and grass, but it's also a symbolic representation of rejuvenation.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. There is something powerful about painting a dream image, and as you said, just using the colors, even if there's not something representational.
Exactly.
So, Alaya, we do have a caller on the line. I'd like to say hello to our caller.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, is this Christine?
Alaya. It is.
Hey, thank you so much for calling in. Christine Barrington, another KSQD programmer, a frequent dream listener and caller. I'm really glad to hear from you.
Yeah, great show. And I've just felt so much of what has been shared is very rich. And the thoughts that were going through me are this. My roots are Northern European. And what I know of my family history on both sides is pretty trauma-based and sad. And I kind of cut my family line in my heart. Like, I'm looking back as far as I know on both sides of the family, and I'm like, there's nothing here I want to know. So I don't have any connection in my psyche from that kind of attitude to ancestry. And so as I was listening to this show, I was thinking, I wonder if I don't have any dreams or feelings around this because of this attitude I have. And it's, it's like, and now as I'm, learning more and more as I get older, right, about sort of the predatory culture of colonialism, and that's where, my line is on the perpetrator side, how connecting with ancestry can be a part of healing that. So it's a big open question.
I've heard this question a lot, and the main thing with regards to ancestral work is you do not have to connect to the ones that did harm. And that's a really big thing. We also have to understand that the concept of ancestors is not limited to flesh and blood. Okay, in a lot of traditional societies, the ancestors are sentient beings. They're the ones, if they've taught you how to be and how to do, they are your ancestor. So I would recommend looking at, yes, the lands that your ancestors came from, but looking deep into the mythology of those cultures. So if you have Celtic ancestry, for example, look into some of the Celtic divinities that are comforting to you. Whatever the practices may have been in the deep, distant past, connect to that, because that's what's healing. That's what's most healing. Sentient beings are always there to help comfort. And if that's not something you believe in, then I would just recommend try to overlook some of the modern practices into that and just look at the symbols that represent that culture. Connect with that, with healing energy colors like green and soft blues, because you want to connect to that energy. It's not so much the people, if that makes sense. That will start to generate the awareness, which will then lend to establishing a connection to the energy of those cultures you're connected to, not so much just the people, if that makes sense.
And not just the traumas, but...
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right. No, it does. It's really, and that's why I kind of phrased my question of, like, specifically what I was thinking listening to you today is, I think I need to change my attitude because I'm blocking.
Right.
I think I'm blocking things from coming through.
Right.
And so, yeah, it does make sense.
Right. So it's a big matter of just reframe the approach. Yeah, just reframe it. I'm not trying to connect to the trauma part. I want to connect to that which is healing. So let me find that.
Christine, I'm getting a hunch. Is it okay for me to bring up a dream that you've brought up on a previous show?
Oh, sure.
Okay. There's a dream that you've shared with us before about being in a high tower with, like, narrow windows.
Totally. I know. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm not going to repeat that dream. But,
But I am.
you are. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. Well, there's something here about, like, the Northern European and the castles.
Well, totally, yeah. It was that, as a matter of fact, I got a book this morning, and I'm like, this book is linked to my Celtic heritage. And so it's funny. And then I started listening to your show, and I'm like, this is all very synchronistic. And so, yeah, in that one, it was like, it felt like Scottish Highlands, and I was in this castle, and there were these thin windows, and then I had a guide, and I was shown that I was supposed to bring something back. I was supposed to restore these sacred animals.
Ooh, I'm getting goosebumps.
I'm getting goosebumps as well. So what I would love to say is I also have Celtic ancestry, and so one of the things that was coming up as you were speaking is, the Celtic knots, or the Celtic knot works, as if they're weaving something. So I would recommend either finding a coloring book that has that in it, or just finding images that you can piece together as a PDF and have it printed, and start coloring with that, with the intention of, I'm trying to call in this connection. Help me to weave my connection back to that. There's a lot of knot work in Celtic, Celtic culture. So definitely reconnect to that.
Thank you. That's
You're
lovely.
most welcome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Christine. I'm so glad you called, and I feel like this beautiful dream of yours continues to be powerful here.
It does. I keep asking the question. It's a knot I'm trying to untangle so I can tie, a new one. So I thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Christine. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Alaya, thank you. I really appreciate how you brought in the way to connect to the mythology and the traditions of peoples. I found myself thinking even of the traditions of what do they call them? The little people, the fairies. That's kind of a Northern European.
The Fae, yeah.
The Fae, yeah.
The she, yeah.
So,
Definitely.
yeah. Well, we have. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that I've had a real profound experience with that when I was in Ireland. So, when I went the first time, it was, wow, I need to look deeper into this, because just the dreams and the waking experiences were just calling, pay attention. So, yeah.
So we have another caller on the line. Okay. Actually, apparently we have two. I don't know if we'll have time to take everybody, but I'm going to click them over. So we now have two callers, and I know about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. But here we are. So we have two callers on the line. So whoever speaks first gets to speak first. Hello.
Hi, this is Ellen. Yeah. I don't want to jump the other caller.
Okay, well, we have Ellen here. And who is else here? I heard another voice.
It's Karen. I'm Dia's mom.
Oh, great. Thank you. Okay, Karen and Ellen. So we just have a few minutes left in the show. Why don't we have Ellen just say a word, and then we'll go to Karen. If we could just say a word or two about what you're feeling right now, what you're experiencing.
I was interested in that concept of that. I've never had a little teaching in a dream like she mentioned. I thought that was really fascinating. You're dreaming along, and then a little teaching comes at your end. So download. I'll have to pay attention to that. But I did have sometimes I have these long involved dreams that have many scenes, and then they go back to an earlier scene, and I had something like that today, last night, or this morning this morning.
Well, we won't have time to go into a dream, I'm afraid, but I'm glad to have you bring us back to those ideas of the ancestral teaching dreams and how we can be all more alert to the dreams going forward. Thank you, Ellen. I want to say hi to Karen, too, before we have to go. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks for calling.
I just really want to say to the first caller that called in and how she feels about her ancestry. I think sometimes if you just surrender what you're feeling, to your ancestors, answers will come, and then it come as you want it right then and there, but they do come in dreams, and they let you know what your next steps should be or how you should feel towards what it is that you're experiencing.
Oh, to surrender to your ancestors. Is that what you said, Karen?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. That's such a beautiful suggestion. I'm really feeling into that. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let them lead us. Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
All right. So Alaya Dannu, we have come to the end of our time here. I would love to have you. I know, it goes so fast. I would love to have you say how people can get in touch with you.
They can reach me at Dia, D-I-Y-A, at Cosmogenia, COSMOGENIA.com.
Cosmogenia.com. That's beautiful. Okay, thank you, Alaya. And of course, you can see her presentations at the AS Dreams Conference, which you can find out about at asdreams.org. And do you have any final thoughts for our listeners, Alaya?
Dreams are they're an intricate part of who you are. Try not to ignore them. And if you can't get in touch with them, start with your intuition. And if you want to deepen that, color.
Okay, color. I'm getting out my crayons. That's it. Thank you, Alaya Dannu.
Thank you.
Okay.
This has been great.
This is fabulous. All right, well, take care, and hopefully we can keep in touch.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye.
So this is the Dream Journal, and we are To the top of the hour, we are going to say that next week we'll be talking to widely known dream expert and astrologer Michael Lennox. He's the author of several dream dictionaries and guides to dream interpretation. Dr. Lennox is a psychologist and a self-described media expert and has appeared on numerous network and cable talk shows. He sees himself as being an ambassador to conscious embodiment. Tune in next week to learn more. In the meantime, you can find out about the AISD conference at asdreams.org. So listen to the Dream Journal live at Saturday at 10 or catch the podcast replay, which as always will be released on Monday following the show.
Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries far behind you.
I am Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out more about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com, and you can email me at catherine@ksqd.org. That's KATHERINE@ksqd.org. Please do contact me for a free introductory dream consultation. If you like this show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or tell a friend how much you are enjoying the show. I'd like to thank my program assistant, Max Deaton, and our creative musician, Rick Cleffel, who created an original composition for our ambient music again today, and to our three call-ins, Christine, Ellen, and Karen. And thank you to all the generous donors who support this station. K-Squid is 100% listener-supported. Donations are always welcome at ksqd.org. When you wake up tomorrow morning, take a minute to look within. Do you remember a dream? Write it down and bring it to the next Dream Journal. Are you ready to wake up to the power of your dreams? I am Catherine Bell, and you're listening to KSQD Santa Cruz.
And